Revealed: How a Millionaire's Fiancée Discovered an Incredible Connection to a Homeless Girl. A heart-wrenching journey unfolds. Jenna Carter stood in the center of yet another opulent gala, surrounded by crystal chandeliers that sparkled like the stars she used to wish upon. Dressed in a gown worth more than most people's yearly salaries, she feigned a smile, but inside, a void echoed louder than the clinking of champagne glasses. The laughter around her felt hollow. Where was the meaningful connection in this glittering world of privilege? She twirled a strand of hair around her finger, feeling the weight of her engagement ring, a symbol of a life that seemed drenched in gold yet utterly devoid of warmth. The night passed in a blur of perfect faces, and when it ended, Jenna couldn't shake the feeling of disorientation that clung to her like the expensive perfume she wore. She decided, on a whim, to volunteer at a local homeless shelter. Just for one night. Maybe helping others would illuminate her own dark corners. As she stepped into the dimly lit shelter, the air thick with the odor of old blankets and food remnants, Jenna's heart raced at the sight of the faces she rarely encountered. There, amid the despair, she met Lily, a 12-year-old girl with twinkling eyes that could slice through fog. "I want to paint the world with colors no one has ever seen," Lily said, her small hands gesturing wildly. Jenna's heart was tugged in ways it hadn't been for years. Here was a fire of hope in a girl who had every reason to lose it. Jenna found herself mesmerized. Every story Lily shared was saturated with joy and resilience, the dreams of an artist, a creator, a bright spirit amid an often cruel reality. Jenna felt a tight knot in her chest. The stark contrast to her glamorous life was sobering. She was swept away by the hopes and dreams of a girl who had nothing but belief in a better tomorrow, yet, the high society around her clawed at the edges of her life like a shroud. Mark, her fiancé, laughed dismissively every time Jenna brought up her newfound connection with Lily, referring to her as just another charity case. Why did the depth of love in her heart, birthed through hardship and aspiration, pale in comparison to lavish wedding plans? One fateful evening, during a charity gala Jenna had organized, Lily stepped through the doors, seeking refuge in the welcoming warmth of food. A pang of joy surged through Jenna, but it quickly morphed into dread as Mark's voice sliced through the air, berating Lily for crashing the fancy party. The tension was palpable. Gasps echoed, and Jenna's chest tightened. The very essence of the evening hung by a thread. That moment triggered something deep within her. The disgust and judgment crashed against her soul like waves on a desolate shore. Jenna grappled with a choice as both shock and pride bubbled up within her. She felt alive for the first time, ready to shout for justice and dignity, but would her voice matter in a world that preferred silence? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jenna's heart raced as she stood before the judgmental gazes. Mark, her friends, and the elite all looked on, but one thought shone brightly. Would she rise for Lily, for the spirits of those left behind in a city that overflowed with wealth? Every question surged through her mind, desperate for answers. She was at a crossroads, and the world of privilege beckoned her while the spirit of humanity called for her to act. She stood there, paralyzed by the weight of her decision, as the din of the gala swirled. Around her a swirling tempest of hope and fear. What legacy would she choose to build? What would she sacrifice, her loyalty or her newfound identity? Jenna's breath caught in her throat as her gaze locked onto Lily's wide eyes. The girl's spirit shone like a beacon in the chaos of the gala, every intricate detail of her existence screaming for acknowledgement in the thick silence. Could she allow the judgment of the crowd to drown out that light? She took a step forward, trembling yet resolute. "Stop it, Mark!" The words burst forth before she could stop them, loud and undeniably defiant. The room fell quiet, the kind of hush that steals the air from your lungs, and every set of eyes spun towards her. Shock. Disbelief. Some even looked as though they were relishing in her discomfort. Lily's face wore a mixture of hope and trepidation, desperately searching for Jenna's support. "I'm sorry for crashing your party," she stammered, her small frame shivering slightly in the gaze of the affluent crowd, her dream-painting hands now trembling at her sides. Mark scoffed, raising his eyebrows in exaggerated disbelief. "What kind of fool do you think you are, Jenna? This isn't where she belongs." His tone dripped with condescension, and the warmth Jenna had felt for him began to turn icy. Her heart hammered, caught between her fiancé and the girl who had revived a flicker of purpose within her. "Who decides where anyone belongs?" Jenna shot back, the words igniting within her a sense of power she hadn't known she possessed. "Just because you hold the titles and the wealth doesn't mean you define reality for every other human being." Gasps trickled through the crowd like a ripple in water. Jenna's resolve grew. There was something liberating about embracing the discomfort. She was unraveling the tightly knitted expectations, flinging them aside like confetti. Here she stood, not just for Lily but for every marginalized voice that deserved to be heard. Mark's face twisted in frustration. "You're throwing everything away for a child that enough." Jenna interrupted, her voice steady now, like the foundation of a great structure. Every snicker, every scoff began to fade into the background as she shifted her focus on Lily. "What is your dream, Lily?" She walked closer, kneeling down to meet the girl's gaze. "Tell me. Paint it for me in words. Let everyone hear it." Lily blinked, astonished yet hopeful. "I want to show people that colors can make you feel things. That no matter how hard life is, you can still find beauty." Her voice quivered but the passion shone through. "See?" Jenna turned to the gathering crowd as her heart swelled with emotion. "There's a brilliance in every story. Lily deserves to paint her world, just like any of us. We can't afford to turn our backs on someone like her. We." Waves of murmurs swept through the elite audience, some faces contorted in disgust, while others shimmered with interest. It was a strange blend of confusion and clarity. Perhaps Jenna dared to write a new narrative. The applause and disapproval were mingled, but in that moment, the audience shifted. Their once exclusive club now felt a flicker of inclusivity. Jenna stood tall as she felt the fire realign her essence. A pull towards being true to herself surged forth, but the weight of the grand hall loomed over her excitement. Mark's disapproval shot daggers. "You're embarrassing yourself," he hissed. Jenna faced him, steadfast. "This is who I am. I choose this path." But as the night unfolded, a chilling thought took root. What would this choice cost her? Would she lose everything she'd built? As their conversations mingled and heated discussions ignited around the room, Jenna's mind raced. Could she truly embrace this new version of herself, or would the shadows of her past remain too heavy to shed? As the evening wore on, Jenna felt the walls of her new truth closing in. She could be brave, she could claim her identity, but at what price? The stakes were rising drastically. Would she find the strength to choose love over privilege, or would fear pull her back into the gilded cage? The next morning, her phone buzzed insistently. A message flashed across the screen from Lily. "Can we talk? I need to tell you something important." A rush of anxiety and hope tangled in her chest. What could Lily possibly want? And how could it change her newfound path? Jenna took a deep breath, knowing that the darkness of uncertainty lay just ahead. But this time, she felt ready to face it. Jenna stared at her phone, Lily's words hanging in the air like an unfinished song. A part of her wanted to drop everything and rush to the girl, to understand what this was all about. Yet, the memories of the gala were still fresh. The backlash from the crowd, the way Mark's eyes had narrowed in anger, and the guilt that had seeped into her bones. She took a deep breath, determined to not let fear dictate her actions anymore. "Meet me at the cafe by the park," she quickly typed back, her fingers shaking slightly. She didn't know what to expect, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that Lily held the key to something much bigger than both of them. As she arrived at the cafe, the crisp morning air smelled faintly of roasted coffee beans and fresh pastries. Soft sunlight streamed through the windows, painting the floor with warm, golden patches. She spotted Lily seated at a small table, her colorful backpack propped against the chair like an eager friend. The girl was gazing out of the window, lost in thought. "Hey, Lily," Jenna said softly, pulling out the chair across from her. "I got your message." Lily turned, her eyes shimmering. "Thanks for coming. I wanted to talk about, well, everything." Her small frame looked like it was holding up mountains of expectation. Jenna smiled, doing her best to radiate warmth. "You don't have to be nervous. I'm here for you." Lily glanced down at her fidgeting hands, then back to Jenna. "I know people look at me different, like I don't belong. But when I saw you stand up for me, it made me feel like maybe I could be more than what everyone thinks." Jenna felt her heart skip a beat. "You are more, Lily. You're incredible. You have a gift. Your art can reach people. That's a powerful thing." The girl looked down again, her cheeks turning a shade of pink. "I've been working on something. Something big, but I'm not sure if I can do it." "What is it?" Jenna leaned in, her interest piqued. Lily hesitated, biting her lip. "I want to host an art show. Not just for me, but for other kids in similar situations. To show everyone that we matter." Jenna's breath caught in her throat as she absorbed the weight of the girl's words. An art show. A chance for kids like Lily to be seen, to be valued. "That's amazing!" she exclaimed, feeling a rush of excitement. "You have to do it. We can do it together." Lily's eyes widened, a spark igniting within them. "Really? You'd help me?" "Of course. We can figure out the logistics, find a space, even ask for sponsorships." Jenna's mind raced with possibilities, her earlier uncertainties dissolving like morning fog. For the first time all day, a smile broke across Lily's face, lighting up her features. "You'd do that for me?" "I would do anything to help you shine." Lily's voice softened. "But what about your life? Your fiancé? The fancy parties?" Jenna felt a pang at the mention of Mark's name. "I've realized something. All that glitters isn't gold. I want to make a difference. I want to be a part of something real." The joy faded as Jenna's thoughts slinked back to the approaching storm. It was one thing to share a dream, but juggling her new passion with her old life was uncharted territory. Would Mark understand? What would her friends say? Anxiety crept back, gnawing at her confidence. "Jenna?" Lily's voice broke through. "Is everything okay?" Jenna smiled through the tightness in her chest. "Yeah, just thinking." But she couldn't shake the weight of the decision looming over her. To chase this dream felt right, yet the cost of her past life painted shadows in corners of her mind. With fresh determination coursing through her veins, she looked straight at Lily. "Let us do it. Let us start planning your show. We're going to make it happen." As she spoke those words, a rush of adrenaline propelled her forward, but the question hung heavily in the air. What would happen when her two worlds collided? Would this leap of faith come back to haunt her? The cafe doors swung open, and a familiar figure stepped inside. Jenna's heart dropped. Mark was walking right toward them, an unreadable expression on his face. What would he say? How would he react to this new path she was charting? Jenna swallowed hard, suddenly feeling small under the weight of the moment. Jenna's body went rigid as Mark approached, his tall frame casting a shadow over their table. The cafe noise faded into a dull hum, and all that filled her mind was the possibility of being exposed, of being torn between the life she knew and the one she was desperately trying to embrace. "Hey," he said, the tightness in his voice sending a shiver down her spine. He shot a glance at Lily, then back at Jenna. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Yeah, I wanted to support Lily," Jenna stammered, instinctively reaching for one of Lily's hands. The warmth in the girl's small grip returned some confidence, but Jenna's heart raced wildly. Mark raised an eyebrow, skepticism lacing his features. "So, you're planning an art show with her? Isn't that a bit ambitious?" Jenna could feel the weight of everyone in the cafe shifting their attention to them. It was suffocating. Lily shifted in her seat, looking anywhere but at Mark. "This isn't just about art, Mark," Jenna replied, her tone steadier than she felt. "It's about communities and voices that need to be heard. Lily deserves this, she is talented, and what?" he interrupted, his brows knitting together. "You're going to abandon your life for some charity project?" "Abandon?" The word hung in the air like an accusation. "I'm not abandoning anything. I'm just exploring a different path." Mark scoffed, crossing his arms defensively. "But what about your responsibilities? Your friends?" "We had plans, Jenna. And they're important too." "They are important, Mark. But can't you see? Helping Lily is important too." The words erupted before she could stop them. Jenna could feel her face flush and she held her breath, bracing for the fallout. Mark's expression shifted to one of annoyance, and something about it twisted painfully in her chest. "Look, I get that you want to help," he said, his voice now clipped and cold. "But you're getting in way over your head. There are challenges you probably haven't even thought about." Lily's hand squeezed Jenna's tighter, but Mark's dismissive words sent jagged edges slicing through her heart. "I know what I'm doing," Jenna replied, a fierce determination igniting in her to stand tall. "I'm not going to let fear dictate my choices anymore. I will make time for this. You don't own my decisions." Mark's jaw tightened, the disappointment now palpable. "You think this is just about you, don't you? What about us?" "You're confusing passion with naivete." There was an edge to his words that made Jenna flinch. The truth stung. Was she being foolish? With an uncomfortable silence enveloping them, Lily cleared her throat. "I really appreciate Jenna's help, Mark. This is important to me. I just want a chance." Her voice was soft but steady, cutting through the tension like a knife. Mark's gaze shifted back to Lily, and for a moment, the thunderclouds in his eyes seemed to soften. Jenna held her breath, hoping he'd finally see the bigger picture, the possibility of change. "All right, fine," Mark said with a huff, clearly reluctant. "But you need to think this through. You can't just jump into this without a plan." "Agreed." "We'll plan together," Jenna responded, relief washing over her. Maybe they could reach common ground after all. Just as she started to hope, Mark's eyes darkened again. "This is going to affect everything, Jenna. You need to be careful about the people you associate with." "What does that mean?" she asked, her heart sinking. "Nothing," he shot back, frustration mounting in his voice. "Just think twice before you throw away what you have." As he turned to leave, Jenna felt like the wind had been knocked out of her. She watched him go, feeling both triumphant and despondent. Meanwhile, Lily was staring at her, wide-eyed, as if they were two survivors navigating a storm. "Do you think he'll ever understand?" Jenna whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. Lily shrugged, her innocent expression a mixture of hope and worry. "Maybe he just needs to see it, like I did." Jenna nodded, feeling a flicker of strength in their shared goal. But deep inside, doubt lingered. Would Mark's perspective haunt her? Would this journey ultimately break her world apart instead of mending it? Across the table, the glint in Lily's eyes reminded Jenna of the spark of possibility. She had to show Mark, to prove that this path could lead to something beautiful. Suddenly, Jenna noticed a flyer pinned on the cafe bulletin board. "Art in the Park, a weekend showcase." Her heart raced. Maybe it was a sign. "Lily, what if we join that event?" she asked, excitement bubbling in her chest. But even as she spoke, doubt crept in. Could they really put together something powerful in such a short time? Would they be ready? The questions loomed before her as she glanced back at the door, hoping Mark would return with an open mind. Would her dream withstand the tides of reality? In that moment, a new urgency filled the air. The clock was ticking, and the canvas of their future awaited their stroke. Jenna's heart thrummed in her ears as Lily leaned forward, her eyes shimmering with excitement. "We have to do it. Just think about it, art in the park could be our chance to show everyone what we're capable of." "Yes. Absolutely," Jenna replied, her pulse quickening. She could already envision the vibrant colors of art splashing across the park, the laughter of families, and the stories told through canvases. But a small voice in her mind warned her to tread carefully. Okay, but how do we even start? Jenna asked, her enthusiasm tempered by the weight of reality. It's only a couple of weeks away. Lily's face brightened. We'll figure it out together. Let us get as many artists involved as we can. This is about everyone having a voice. A warmth filled Jenna's chest. There was something so powerful about Lily's determination. It reminded her of the fierce hunger she held for life, her own passion that had been suppressed for far too long. You're right. We can do this. We'll make it happen, she declared, resolve hardening within her. As they left the cafe, Jenna's mind raced with possibilities. Their first stop was the community center, the hub where artists and visionaries gathered. The air buzzed with creativity, and she felt the familiar spark reignite within her. With every step, she felt the shadows of doubt begin to dissolve. Jenna! A familiar voice called. It was Rachel, an old friend from high school, now busy sketching in a corner. They hugged, and Jenna felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her. Wow, it's been ages. What are you up to? Rachel asked, her eyes twinkling. I'm working on an art show with Lily for the park. It's going to be something special, Jenna explained, her enthusiasm bubbling over. An art show? That sounds amazing. Rachel's excitement mirrored Jenna's own. I'd love to help. With Rachel now on board, Jenna felt a surge of confidence. They moved around, gathering more talented artists. Each conversation added brushstrokes to their painting of the event, brightening an already vivid vision. But just as Jenna was riding the wave of excitement, she spotted Mark standing outside the center, arms crossed, watching from a distance. His expression was unreadable, but she felt his gaze piercing through her like a distant storm. Her stomach twisted. Why was he here? Was he waiting for her? A knot formed in her throat as the warmth she felt from earlier began to chill. Hey, are you okay? Lily asked, noticing Jenna's sudden change in demeanor. Yeah, I'm fine, Jenna replied, forcing a smile. But deep down, anxiety bubbled. She suddenly felt vulnerable beneath Mark's predatory stare. I want this to work. Let us give him a show to see, yeah? Lily beamed, the confidence in her voice shining through Jenna's worry. Together, Jenna affirmed. She took a deep breath, trying to shake off the fear. They could do this. She could face Mark and show him the beauty they were striving for. As they stepped outside, Jenna forced herself to meet Mark's eyes. He approached them, anger shadowed beneath the surface, but this time Jenna wouldn't flinch. Are you really doing this? With her? He asked, incredulously. We're creating something meaningful, Jenna replied, her voice steady. Don't you want to see that? Mark shook his head, his frustration rising. You're playing with fire, Jenna. Be careful. But Jenna felt a flicker of defiance, a feeling she hadn't embraced in a long time. I'm not afraid of fire. I'm ready to shine. As they turned to leave, a little more determined than before, Jenna could almost hear the clock ticking louder. The deadline loomed closer, and with it, the critical need to prove that this journey would forge a new path not just for her, but for Lily, too. Jenna, Lily whispered, catching her attention. What if we used the idea of empowerment through art, like a theme for the showcase? We could feature stories behind each piece. Jenna's heart soared. That could resonate with so many, including Mark. As she processed the idea, a thrill raced through her veins. Maybe this would not only showcase art, perhaps it would create a bridge to understanding. But deep down, uncertainty began to claw at her again. Would Mark come to appreciate this venture, or would he only see what he wanted to the risk? Determined to push forward, they began hashing out plans, yet Jenna couldn't help but glance back at Mark one last time. The weight of their parting words still hung heavy in the air, as if they held the power to alter everything. This time, would he see the truth? Would he grasp the change unfolding? As they ventured away from the community center, Jenna felt the rush of possibility pulsating around them, but the chatter of doubt wasn't far behind. The stakes were rising, and soon enough, their convictions would be tested. Would they rise to the occasion, or would the pressure snuff out their flame? And as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows behind them, Jenna thought about what lay ahead: the reveal, the challenge, the embrace of risk. It was time to confront fears and uncertainty, time to show the world what they were capable of. But would they be ready? And what awaited them on that fateful day in the park? As the days slipped by, Jenna found herself wrapped in a whirlwind of art supplies, ideas, and exhilarating possibilities. Every evening, she and Lily, along with Rachel, gathered at Jenna's small studio, sketching, painting, and brainstorming the intricacies of their theme: empowerment through art. The walls echoed with laughter and spirited discussions, a contrast to the quiet void that had filled Jenna's days before. Jenna painted feverishly, the colors blending together in chaotic harmony on the canvas. Each stroke felt cathartic, a release of pent-up creativity she hadn't tapped into for years. With Lily's and Rachel's encouragement, she felt alive again, as if the art was a mirror reflecting everything she deep buried. But even amidst this creative burst, Mark loomed in the corners of her mind. She couldn't shake off the doubt and concern that accompanied his warning. Was she really playing with fire? There were moments when she caught herself staring blankly into her work, thoughts drifting to his piercing look. What if he didn't understand the beauty they were trying to create? "You're overthinking it," Lily argued as they paced through the park one sunny afternoon, scouting possible spots for their display. "You need to focus on the message, not him." Jenna sighed. "I know," but she paused, scanning the park around them, families picnicking, kids laughing, and joggers hustling by. What if he comes and it all falls apart? If he's there, he'll see the light of what we're doing. Rachel chimed in, grabbing Jenna's hand, squeezing it with enthusiasm. "We're turning the spotlight on all of this," she gestured to the vibrant life around them, "not just on us." With the deadline racing closer, they grew more organized, dividing tasks and brainstorming artist stories that would resonate with the theme. They sent out invites to local artists, encouraging them to share their pieces and the powerful narratives behind them. Each acceptance felt like a small victory, fueling Jenna's hope. Yet, in the quiet moments, Jenna's heart would wake up, slamming against her chest at the thought of Mark's return. Whenever she heard footsteps approach her studio door, she'd hold her breath, her heart dipping every sound could be him. As preparations reached a fever pitch, the night before the event arrived swiftly. The studio was a maze of created wonders, floors scattered with paint tubes and brushes, yet the atmosphere was charged with anticipation and nervous energy. They had adorned the park with bright banners, easels set up ready to showcase art that spoke volumes. "Tomorrow's the big day," Lily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling in the dim light of their studio. "We've poured our hearts into this. No matter what, we're going to shine." "I can't believe this is happening," Rachel added, looking around at the mesmerizing chaos they'd created. "Art in the park, it's more than just a show, it's a movement." As they clinked their mugs filled with steaming tea, Jenna felt a weight lift. They had done everything they could. But halfway through her toast, a familiar voice interrupted the moment. "Are you ready, Jenna?" Mark appeared at the open door, his silhouette framed against the light behind him, intense and unyielding. Her heart stumbled as the warmth of their earlier excitement vanished. Everything she had built felt vulnerable beneath the weight of his gaze. She hadn't expected him to show up, not like this, not so soon. "Ready for what?" she managed to say, trying to maintain her composure. "To see if you really are playing with fire, if you're really prepared for what this will bring." The air tingled with tension. Jenna felt like the ground was shifting under her. Was this his way of challenging her? Doubt coiled in her stomach, threading its way with the resolve she'd fought so hard to forge. "Mark," Jenna began, her voice taut, "this isn't just about me. It's about everybody. It's about art. It's about living our truth." His eyes darkened in response, and for a moment, they were locked in a silent battle of wills. Was he game to understand the heart of her vision, or would he remain tethered to the doubts he'd initially sown? "Then let us see if this truth holds up," he said, stepping into the studio further, crossing into the circle of light. In that moment, under the dim glow of their hard work, Jenna felt a surge of emotional energy. Was she ready to face not just her fears, but Mark's misconceptions too? As the night deepened, the stakes shifted along with her resolve. Tomorrow would not just test her art, it would challenge the very foundation of her relationship with Mark and her understanding of herself. Would she emerge transformed, or would the flame flicker away? And as the clock inched toward midnight, the question lingered. Could she truly harness the power that lay ahead in the park? The alarm jolted Jenna awake, buzzing wildly in her ear. It felt like just moments ago that she had laid down, but adrenaline pulled her from sleep. Today was the day. She rubbed her eyes and took a deep breath, letting the overwhelming rush of anticipation and anxiety wash over her. Rushing through her morning routine, she couldn't shake off Mark's presence from last night. His words echoed in her head, "Let us see if this truth holds up." She could feel the weight of that challenge resting heavily on her shoulders. This wasn't merely about art. It was about everything she had fought for, everything she had hoped to prove. When she arrived at the park, the sun was shining bright, illuminating the vibrant colors of their setup. The smell of fresh paint hung in the air, mingling with the sweetness of blooming flowers. Families were beginning to arrive, curious and excited. Jenna's heart raced as vibrant banners danced in the breeze, eager to be the backdrop for their artistic expression. Lily and Rachel were already setting up, arranging the easels with care. Jenna hurried over, her nerves tingling in every corner of her being. "Everything looks amazing," she breathed out, her eyes wide with delight and disbelief. Rachel flashed a smile, holding up a brush. "Just wait until you see the pieces from the artists. They're going to blow everyone away." Jenna nodded, but her thoughts drifted back to Mark. As she helped hang their collective artwork, a knot twisted in her stomach. Would he be here? Would he truly understand? Would he support or critique? As the hours passed, attendees gathered, excitement filling the air. Conversations bubbled around them. Jenna listened as families shared their stories about what art meant to them, about how it had transformed their lives. Each word lit a spark in her heart, and she felt a sense of community coiling around her. But with each passing minute, she stole glances toward the entrance, scanning for Mark's face in the crowd. She had prepared herself for either reaction, his acceptance or his scorn, and as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, she grew restless. "Jenna!" Lily called, waving her over. "We're starting the introductions." With a deep breath, Jenna stepped up to the front, feeling the warmth of the sun on her skin and a small crowd forming around her. Her friends stood behind her, a solid presence of support. The moment felt surreal. She was ready to share not just her art but her passion, her story woven with theirs. As she began speaking, she felt the words tumble freely. "Welcome, everyone. Today we're here to celebrate art as a means of empowerment and connection. We hope to inspire you to find your voice and embrace your truth." Just as she gained momentum, she spotted a familiar figure hovering at the edge, hands tucked in his pockets, uncertainty painted across his face. It was Mark. Caught off guard, she stumbled slightly over her next words, her heart racing even faster. "This art, this event, it means everything to me," she continued, determination rising. "It's about sharing stories that need to be told. Each piece here speaks of struggle, resilience, and hope." Mark stepped closer, his expression shifting as her gaze met his. The tension was palpable, sparking a storm of emotions. Maybe today wasn't just about validation. It could also be about understanding and perhaps forgiveness. But then, a commotion to the side pulled Jenna's attention away. A young girl, no more than 11, stood staring wide-eyed at a colorful mural. Her eyes twinkled with curiosity, but there was something deeper beneath her wonder. She wore ragged clothes, her hair tousled, but her ethereal beauty shone through the dirt. Jenna felt an inexplicable connection, a tug at her heartstrings. "What does it mean?" the girl asked, pointing at the mural's central figure, a woman breaking chains, wings unfurling behind her. Jenna stepped closer, kneeling down to be on her level. "It means that you can break free from anything holding you back. You have the power to soar." The girl's eyes widened, and for a moment, everything around Jenna faded. The noise, the people, even Mark's gaze became muted. What she saw in this vulnerable moment was more than just art. It was a lifeline. As Jenna spoke to the girl, a mixture of joy and purpose flooded her heart. But just then, she noticed Mark shifting uncomfortably behind her, the challenge still unanswered. How could she balance these two worlds, so different yet so intertwined? What would it take to make Mark recognize the connection brewing in that moment? Could art truly bridge the gap they seemed to be stuck in? Beneath the surface of fragile hope, the day held secrets yet to be unveiled. As the first applause erupted around, Jenna turned her focus between the girl's spark of inspiration and Mark's flickering doubt. Outside, the sun caught the edges of the horizon, but inside her heart, Jenna braced for the next flicker of fate. Would everything she'd built hold strong, or would the weight of unspoken truths break her resolve? Jenna felt the warmth of the applause wrap around her, a blanket of reassurance, yet her eyes remained locked on the girl. There was something magical in their exchange, something that transcended the chaos of the event. The girl's gaze pierced through the layers of Jenna's heart, awakening feelings she had carefully buried beneath her ambitions. "What's your name?" Jenna asked, wanting to anchor this moment. "Clara," the girl replied, her voice barely above a whisper, but the strength in her eyes spoke volumes. "Clara," Jenna repeated, allowing it to settle like a soft melody. "Do you have dreams?" The girl looked down, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "I want to paint like you someday." Suddenly, Jenna's heart soared. "Why not today? Here, let me show you." She rose and motioned for Clara to follow her to a canvas. She didn't notice Mark shifting again behind her, his face flickering with an uncharacteristic softness, mingling with a hint of jealousy. As they approached a colorful blank canvas, Jenna handed Clara a brush. "What do you want to say?" Clara looked at the vibrant paint splashes cascading down the canvas, then at the mural, a blooming garden filled with possibilities. In that instant, Jenna realized Clara wasn't just looking up to her, she was a channel for Jenna's own suppressed aspirations. And every brush stroke the girl attempted was a declaration of resilience. With each movement of Clara's hand, Jenna felt a surge of purpose. Together they painted a world filled with vivid colors, indistinguishable yet harmonious. Laughter mingled with the clacking sounds of brushes against canvas. It transformed the air into a vibrant dance of creativity. Meanwhile, Mark stood several feet away, an observer caught between two worlds. He wasn't prepared for the raw energy emanating from Clara and Jenna. His mind raced with thoughts of the girl and the truths she represented, a reality he pretended didn't exist. Yet, the sight of Jenna's connection with Clara, the ease, the joy ignited something deeper within him. As their creation flourished, the crowd began to gather, laughter and whispers weaving through the air. Someone from the audience even shouted, "Look at them! They are magic!" Jenna's heart swelled with pride, but part of her still ached for Mark's acknowledgement. Would he ever understand what art could do? When the painting reached its final stroke and Clara stepped back, her eyes sparkled, reflecting Jenna's joy. "I did it! I really did it!" she exclaimed, her face lighting up like 1,000 suns. In that moment, Clara wasn't just a girl, she was a force of nature. "That's it, Clara! You inspired everyone. You have wings." Jenna beamed, her own heart racing with the reminder of her own journey, pushing beyond obstacles to embrace her true self. The applause swelled, but Jenna was drawn once more to Mark. He was still watching, uncertainty still knitting his brows. "Mark!" she called out, her voice rising above the cheers. "Come join us. This is what it's all about." Slowly he approached, an internal battle visible on his face. The vulnerability of standing in front of a crowd gnawed at him. Yet beneath that hesitance was an undeniable curiosity, the need to understand, to bridge the gap between their worlds. Jenna stood firm, her heart steadying as the hope of this shared moment blossomed. "This is Billy's mural, but it belongs to all of us now. Just like every story, every life, we are all connected in ways we don't always see." Clara bounced on her feet, pointing toward Mark. "Come paint with us. You can be free too." The crowd laughed encouragingly, but it wasn't until Clara's innocent challenge echoed in Mark's ears that the gravity of the moment settled over him. Jenna held her breath, hoping beyond hope that Mark would embrace this unexpected gift. Would he take a step forward and see what she saw? In that charged silence, Jenna felt both terrified and exhilarated. The question lingered in the air like an unanswered prayer. Could art strip away the layers of doubt and reveal their shared humanity, as light began to fade? Casting a golden hue over the park, Jenna's heart surged with hope. This could be the moment they needed, a pivotal shift in their story. What awaited them wasn't just a brush against canvas, but the potential for a connection that could transform everything. Would Mark finally understand? Mark hesitated, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. He stood at the edge of the vibrant scene that Jenna and Clara had created, painted in colors so bright they nearly glowed in the fading light. It was chaotic yet harmonious, a stark difference to his structured, orderly world. The laughter and chatter of the crowd felt alien. He had grown used to a life dictated by expectations, wrapped in the neat lines of success without ever bending them. The call of Clara's innocent laughter drew him in closer. She was glowing with pride, radiating happiness that was foreign to him. There was a freedom there, one he had denied himself for far too long. Mark took a tentative step forward, his heart pounding. "Just paint," Jenna encouraged, her voice warm and inviting, like a beacon in the darkness of his uncertainty. Even as he approached, his chest tightened with dread. What if he made a fool of himself? What if he couldn't live up to their joy? He glanced at Jenna, her eyes sparkling with unfiltered hope, and his heart flickered with a ghost of longing. It was as if he stood at the edge of a great cliff, overlooking a vast ocean of possibility. Clara beckoned, brush raised high, the enthusiasm flowing through her. "Come on. It'll be fun, I promise." The crowd was murmuring now, their curiosity shifting to him, waiting with bated breath. A tap at the back of his mind whispered for him to run, but another part begged him to stay, to dive into the unknown. For the first time, he sensed a chance to break free from the invisible chains of his past. "What do I do?" he asked Jenna, his voice almost lost amongst the confusion of cheers. "Just be you. Let the colors speak. Let go of your fears," she urged him with a smile that brightened the dimming sky. A breath caught in his throat, and in that moment, Mark made a choice. He reached for a brush. As he held it in his hand, it felt foreign yet intoxicating. It was a simple tool, but it represented so much more. The crowd watched, rapt with attention. Clara jumped in excitement, her smile infectious. "Yes, Mark! We can paint the sky!" And with that, Mark dipped the brush into bright blue paint. He hesitated, the weight of the moment settling heavily on his shoulders. "What do I want to say?" he mused aloud, his mind swirling with thoughts. "Anything. It's your canvas too," Clara cheered, her enthusiasm infusing him with energy. As colors began to pool on the canvas, something inside him started to flow as well. Touching the surface, he felt a rush. It was messy but freeing. The brush glided in erratic strokes, revealing fragments of himself he had long kept hidden. Laughter erupted around them, children and adults reveling in his transformation. Jenna was beaming, her pride palpable, while Clara continued to add her joyous touch, blending colors together in delightful chaos. Mark's heart began to race. This was a moment of connection unlike anything he had ever felt. Each stroke seemed to peel away layers of doubt, revealing a vibrant connection not just to the canvas, but to Clara, to Jenna, and to the crowd gathered around them. But just as empowerment surged through him, he noticed a flicker of doubt cross Jenna's face. Their eyes locked, and time froze. Could he sustain this newfound passion? Was he truly finding a bridge to the world Jenna cherished? "Mark," she whispered, as if she could sense the shift within him. "You're doing it. Just keep going." He nodded slowly, feeling the strength of her encouragement wash over him. But deep down, a question loomed larger than the scene they created. Was he ready to embrace this connection fully, or would he allow his past to pull him back? As they continued painting, the laughter and cheers surrounding them created an electric atmosphere, bouncing between hope and fear. Mark didn't realize he was holding his breath. Would they finally break through the walls he had built? Or would his worries push him back into isolation once more? The brush hung in the air, waiting for that final, courageous stroke, each heartbeat echoing with uncertainty. What would he choose? Mark's hand hovered over the canvas, trembling slightly as vibrant colors melded into swirls of emotion. The laughter and cheer of the crowd roared around him, but inside, he felt a tempest of doubt rushing to the surface. Was he truly ready to embrace this shift toward connection, toward vulnerability? As Clara giggled next to him, splashing yellow paint across the canvas, something inside him began to crack open. He could hear Jenna's words echoing. Just be you. The sincerity of her belief ignited a flicker of courage deep in his chest. Just let go, he whispered to himself. He dipped the brush into a fiery red, allowing the color to flow like the pulse of his heart. Each movement of his arm felt like a tether drawing him closer to the happiness radiating from Jenna and Clara. Around him, the crowd began to cheer louder, their excitement palpable as they witnessed his transformation. Mark glanced over at Jenna. The way her eyes sparkled with admiration sent a warm rush through him. She believed in him, in them, and for the first time, he felt like he could believe in himself too. He moved more confidently now, the brush gliding across the canvas, making bold strokes that reflected a chaotic mixture of fear and joy. This was no longer just a moment of rebellion against the expected. It was an unveiling of his true self. He painted without thinking, layering colors and shapes as emotions surfaced, revealing pieces of a life he had suppressed. Clara giggled again. Make it brighter, Mark. Her innocence wrapped around him like a comforting hug. He splashed more colors, pouring himself onto the canvas as if it was a vessel for all the feelings that had been bottled up for too long. Then Mark turned to Jenna, his eyes locked onto hers. What do you think? This was a moment where every word hung in the air, teetering between hope and the weight of expectation. It's beautiful, she said, a radiant smile lighting up her face. You're doing it. You're breaking free. The love and support bolstered him, driving away the shadows of doubt that had gripped him tight. And in that moment, like an electric current, understanding flooded him. All the nuances of his life began to weave into a tapestry. This wasn't just about an art show. It was about connectivity, a shared humanity that sought understanding beneath the surface of their lives. Mark! Someone shouted from the crowd, pulling him back to earth. You're really embracing this. The applause surged, and Mark took a deep breath, feeling like a phoenix rising. But just as he began to shine brighter, a voice in the back of his mind whispered the things he had long avoided. Could he really sustain this? The former life he'd built echoed in his ears, the hierarchy of privilege and expectation clawing at him like insistent vines, threatening to choke his newfound light. He glanced at the crowd, sweeping his eyes over their faces. There was anticipation there, but also acceptance. Acceptance of who he could be, not just Mark the rich fiancé, but Mark the creator, the connector. What if we did this again? He thought aloud, his voice rising with enthusiasm. An art program for kids like Clara. We can use our resources to help others find their voices through art. The crowd erupted into applause, excitement palpable. So much opportunity lay ahead. Will you really? Clara gasped, bouncing eagerly, pure joy written all over her small features. Absolutely, he said, stepping closer to Clara and Jenna, feeling a holistic sense of belonging wash over him. We can create something wonderful together. Art as a way to uplift. Jenna's eyes lit up with pride. You've tapped into a beautiful truth, Mark. You've created your own narrative. As the sun began to set, painting the horizon in shades of brilliant orange and pink, Mark held Jenna's gaze, and the world around them blurred into the background. I choose this, he said softly, his voice filled with resolve. I want to be part of this community of stories of art. I want to be with you, to embrace this change. Her smile took his breath away, and for the first time, he felt the weight of the world lift off his shoulders. He leaned in, whispering, I'm ready to break free with you. Jenna reached for Clara's hand, pulling them both into a tight embrace as the last rays of sun disappeared behind the horizon. Around them, the community buzzed with fresh energy and the promise of new beginnings. With his heart swelling, Mark felt the shackles of doubt shatter as he embraced both Jenna and Clara, whispering to a future painted in vibrant colors of hope and connection. Together, they stood tall, united in their mission to harness the transformative power of art, ready to shine and uplift not only themselves but everyone around them. As darkness settled in the park, Jenna, Mark, and Clara exchanged radiant smiles, ready to embrace whatever awaited them in the journey ahead, and as the first stars glittered in the sky, it felt as if they were all about to embark on the most incredible art show imaginable, where every stroke of creativity, every whisper of encouragement, and every moment of understanding would light up the world. Now, more than ever, Jenna felt the pull of unity, connection, and empowerment, her heart bursting with a joyful resonance she once thought she could only dream about. Don't wait not even one more second to share this incredible transformation. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you can follow along with these heartwarming stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this inspiring journey. And comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this change. Your support can make a difference.